Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into the PTA Rundown. My name is Clayton. This is the show where we give you a quick 5 to 10 minutes, everything that happened in the Green Bay Packers news sphere for the previous week. If you guys would hit that like button, feel free to subscribe to the channel, share with your friends. We appreciate y'all making us a part of your day. Let's get into it. So a concise rundown of Green Bay's news for the past 7 days, June 15th through the 22nd. Leadership transition. Ed Policy, the incoming Packers president and CEO, will replace Mark Murphy on July 25th. Policy emphasized priorities, winning games, keeping the Packers in Green Bay, and strengthening the community. He's not yet ready to extend contracts for head coach Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst. That raised a lot of stink there earlier in the week. Are they on the hot seat or are they not? He's not ready to extend contracts for head coach Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst, whose deals run through 2026, but believes they shouldn't work into the final year without new deals, making 2025 pivotal. Big conversation piece this week was, he doesn't want them to go in as quote unquote lame duck coaches and GMs, obviously. So I think they'll get a deal done. This is just putting a little emphasis on, hey, look, this is right around the corner. At the same time, you don't want to go into the final year of a contract of a head coach or a general manager because it makes things kind of shaky within the organization with other coaches potentially taking a quote-unquote better offer, not knowing if there's stability there in the organization. Same thing with people within the front office as well. Rookie standout, first-round pick, Matthew Golden, the first Packers receiver drafted in the first round since 2002, has impressed at minicamp with his speed, route running, and catching ability. His projected receiving yards are 725.5 per DraftKings, slightly above Jaden Reed's 700.5. Golden's emergence raises questions about Christian Watson's future, given Watson's injury history and contract uncertainty, obviously with Christian Watson entering the final year of his contract coming up here. And it says, however, Watson posted a video on his Instagram running routes and lead many to believe he is way ahead of his rehab schedule. So again, the big thing that sticks out to me here is obviously the fact that Matthew Golden is being projected to have more receiving yards than Jaden Reed this coming year. That's really, really fascinating to me, especially given how much Matt LaFleur likes to use the F. He likes to use the slot receiver. Obviously, we've seen that time and time again there with Jaden Reed's first 2 years with the Green Bay Packers. So something to keep an eye on there. Again, Matthew Golden going to bring that top-end speed, maybe take the top off the defense, top player. He doesn't have the height of Christian Watson, so you'd love to get both of those guys on the field as soon as possible, but obviously not at the detriment of Christian Watson being further injured. So, or adding to that injury, I should say. Next, we've got the Jaire Alexander fallout as we're turning the page on that. The release of cornerback Jaire Alexander on June 9th continues to spark discussion. Alexander's father, Landis, claimed the Packers medical staff misdiagnosed Jaire's 2024 injury, which limited him to 7 games. Landis also noted the team offered no guaranteed money for 2025, leading to the split. Alexander signed with the Baltimore Ravens, setting up a Week 17 quote-unquote revenge game in Green Bay. Fans and analysis remain divided, with some posts on X calling the move a sign of incompetence, while others see it as a cap-driven decision. The Packers are adjusting with Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine, and newcomer Nate Hobbs as top cornerback options. We did a significant breakdown pretty extensively last night on PTA Live, kind of talking about, where does Carrington Valentine fit in? To me, he seems to be the best equipped corner of the group based off of just 2 years of experience. But last year definitely put out a much better performance than other guys did with Nate Hobbs. I think Nate Hobbs posting like a 61 PFF grade last year. Obviously, Keyshawn Nixon had a pretty rough year, giving up 5 touchdowns. Like I said, if you guys want to go back and check out that live stream, and we actually had a video broken down with that as well. If you want to hear about that, you'll just go to our page here that you're already on, click on the videos link, and you should see a secondary tab in there with that video as well. So contract and roster notes. Offensive lineman Elton Jenkins, in a contract dispute, was a limited minicamp participant and is slated to move from guard to center. Second-round pick Anthony Belton remains unsigned, and the team citing his weight loss and athleticism as positives. Posts on X mentioned potential extensions for Zach Tom and Quay Walker, fueled by Brian Gutekunst's recent comments that they are in contract negotiations with both players. Rasul Douglas, who the Packers traded to the Bills in 2023, expressed disinterest in the Packers reunion, disappointing some fans. I know some people are holding on to the fact that, hey, maybe Rasul Douglas can come back and help bolster our DB room. I would never say never, but I just don't see it happening. It seemed like Rasul Douglas is on the backside of his career. Last year, he took a pretty extensive step back in his play, according to PFF and other analytics. So I would rule that out, me personally. Zach Tom and Quay Walker, it seems like they are in significant contract negotiations with Brian Gutekunst right now. So I think there's a little fire to that smoke for sure. Now, in terms of Anthony Belton, him remaining unsigned, we talked about this earlier on the week of PTA Live. It seems like with Anthony Belton, what you're running into is you're getting more and more players who were drafted in the second round getting fully guaranteed contracts. And that seems to kind of throw a wrench into things as obviously the players union and the representatives, all the agents, all these players that are drafted in the second round are trying to push for that Jaden Higgins top contract where it's fully guaranteed. They're trying to set this new precedent across the league. And listen, whether you're for it or against it, I can understand where the agency is coming from and the players. If you don't ever push that ball forward down the field, you're always going to stay the same or slide backwards in terms of pay scale and all that. So again, I'm kind of indifferent on that situation, with some fans getting really, really up in arms about Anthony Belton not agreeing to the contract structure. Again, with rookie draft picks, the skeleton of the contract is in place, but the guaranteed money, the lingo in the contract, what could void the guarantee, which you're seeing with Shamar Stewart in Cincinnati, all those things come into play. Offensive line Elgton Jenkins did show up to mandatory minicamp, but he did not participate, what we refer to as a hold in. I'm very, very confident they're going to get something worked out there. I think there's zero chance that we go into week one without Elgton Jenkins being the starting center, barring any injury, obviously. There was also some rivalry tensions that kind of sparked up here. Chicago Bears quarterback Caleb Williams criticized Packer fans at Fanatics Fest, citing a hostile Lambeau Field experience after a Bears win in Week 18 last season. This fueled chatter about the Bears-Packers rivalry with upcoming games on December 7th at Lambeau, and then 2 weeks later, December 20th in Chicago. The big thing here, guys, Caleb was upset that we wouldn't let him do a Lambeau leap. He tried to do a Lambeau leap in Lambeau, and the fans pushed him out of the crowd, and he probably went and climbed into his mommy's arms and cried like he did at USC. So that's the big thing there. And you'll notice it with the fans. You notice it with the players. Even when we're in the deepest part of the offseason, what you'll notice about the Chicago Bears franchise, they're the little brother. We're the big bro. We've beat them more than they beat us. We've got a better overall record in the history of both franchises. We've got more Super Bowl wins. We've got more NFL championships. We've got more conference championships. We've got more division titles, everything across the board. It's a little bro over there kicking and screaming in the corner. Again, they'll do anything, both the players and the fans, to try to keep themselves relevant in the eyes of Packer fans, and it's absolutely hilarious. Training camp and offseason notes here. The Packers announced 2025 training camp practice dates open to the public, with quarterbacks and injured players reporting July 18th. Then all other players reporting by July 22nd, and practices starting July 23rd. Minicamp wrapped up on June 12th, with Cornelius Johnson emerging as a standout. It seems like every year we have one of these wide receivers that are at the bottom of the roster that really improve their stock in terms of whether or not they could potentially make the roster. I think there's very, very, very little chance Cornelius Johnson's competing for a spot on the 53, but he's definitely fighting for a spot on that practice squad, and he's going to try to put some tape out there, I'm sure, in preseason to potentially get signed by another team. The team's offense ranks 7th by ESPN's Mina Kimes, despite no, quote, elite options, thanks to Jordan Love and the balanced attack. Again, Cornelius Johnson going to be too far down that depth chart to be a part of that. However, we know injuries occur, and if there's a chance that he gets activated throughout the season, who knows, man? He could contribute, but he's definitely one that's turning heads there in camp. Fan and media buzz. Posts on X reflect peak offseason drama, as we just talked about, with speculation about the Packers' Super Bowl ambitions, LaFleur and Gutekunst's job security, and even unfounded rumors of the team leaving Green Bay. The focus remains on young talent and navigating defensive adjustments post Jaire Alexander, obviously going to the Baltimore Ravens. So with that leaving Green Bay, it was a very, very minute comment that new president and CEO of the Green Bay Packers, Ed Policy, stepping in on July 25th. He made a comment saying the top priority is to keep the Packers in Green Bay. That's all that was said. That's all that was. And again, you guys know they're constantly negotiating with the city of Green Bay on leasing agreements and things like that. You guys can go do your own research and decide which side of the trench you want to dig into there. But that's going to do it for your PTA rundown. Appreciate everybody. Like I said, if you would hit like, subscribe, and support the channel here, support what we do. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. And everybody on the podcast, we appreciate your continued support over there with Packernet Podcast. Everybody have a great day.
There we go.
Bye, guys.